additional winners from those that got 3 or more questions correct, and we will release those winners in Power Hour. I might have lost Bonnie again, so I might just need to send us off to break at this point. Bonnie, if you're still here, thank you. If it's just a frozen screen and I'm talking to myself, then stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Order filled.
Separate XFAs. How are you navigating these markets, Alfie? What's been working for you? I know you took some trades today. Tell us a little bit about your day to day.
I've been a little bit possessed by scalping recently, to be honest, because it's see money, take money, right, in these markets at the minute. It looks good from from afar.
Order
1.7
filled.
and 1.6K across those two XFAs, right? But that was off the back I was saying in the green room of a couple of blown XFAs and then
Right.
a few kind of quickly try and get funded again, blown combines as well. So I kind of got into the position that I'm at now with these XFAs where I've got that little buffer, and now I'm just trying to,
Okay.
slow down a little bit. And like you were saying with with the parrot, right? Slow down, size down.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what's necessary at the minute.
Okay. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I think, and it's happened before where we have traders, kind of get into that XFA. You may take a payout, you lose the account, and then you just want to get back to the point of making money really quickly right away. And we see some traders kind of go through that cycle a little bit of going through combines. But then it's important, slowing yourself down. And then as soon as you get back into that XFA, just saying, taking a deep breath, thinking, hey, I need at least 5 days in this account in order for me to take a payout. So slowing down from there. You take any trades today at all, Alfie?
Yeah, I did. I tried to
Order
short Nasdaq
filled.
in the morning and got out relatively unscathed before it popped up in New York, and then I got back into the short once we hit that 20,100 level. But
Nice.
yeah, I
Order
don't know why.
filled.
Even though there was a sell tail there, I couldn't hold it. So I just had PTSD of the rip from last night and saw about 20 points and bottled it. So now I've just been
Gotcha.
looking at gold, kind of licking the wounds, right? So.
Right. Good. So what charting platform are we looking at here, Alfie? See a lot
Oh,
going
right,
on
yeah. So
there.
you're
I think.
seeing. So
Go
this is
ahead.
this is exo charts, and we've got the ladder on the right and the 3 hour chart for the ES on the left.
Okay.
Again, like if when I'm talking to you guys about scalping, I'm looking to see if we're getting any big fills here and if there's kind of a change in market structure that's backed up by a lot of delta flooding in, and then I just try and cross-reference that to see what the S is doing. But this is
Okay.
this is both my best friend, this little 10-second delta chart, and my worst enemy, depending on how
Huh.
volatile things are. So I've been trying to get away from it, but it just keeps pulling me back, to be honest, because I do find it to be quite useful, especially when you see there's big orders on the book, but you don't know which side they're getting filled on. Like right there, we had minus 45 on the delta. There seems to be a bit of a flush back through, and now on the right hand side we've got a retest of the 10-hour value area, right? So naturally, if I was scalping, I'd be looking to see if we get acceptance and then trade about 20 or 30 points down to that VWAP. But again, I'm
Okay.
trying to be good, so I wouldn't jump in straight away yet.
Interesting stuff. I see you looking at, and what you're looking at here speaks to me being a volume analyst, right? And going from there. So your style is mostly scalping the markets. When you say a scalp, how many points are you looking to take out of any given trade?
I think with the Nasdaq, I'm typically looking 15 to 20, and then I try and
Okay.
cut at least half the risk off, and then let it run. Because again, look there, like 250
Whoa.
minus 250 right there. So we've already gone
Right.
15
Crude oil.
points off that principle, right? Oh wow, that's crude.
Crude oil.
Crude just
Something's
spiked.
going on.
Crude
Like
up about
huge.
$1 and selling off. A quick spike in crude here. Ton of volume that just came in right before that close hoop. I know you were talking about maybe looking for a trade here into the close in crude, but we just spiked up 58.63
Whoa.
up to
That's heavy news.
59.50 and selling off a little bit here. Let's see if we got any headlines or anything out. Not anything that I think would move the markets. Trump and Rubio identified Ambassador Davis to serve in Ukraine. It's only headlines we got out here right now, but big pop in crude oil there. Let's see if that holds at all.
Oh, there it is.
Just seeing as
Trump.
well
All
now. Trump
purchases of
said,
Iranian oil are stopping now. Must stop
Say that one
now.
more time, who?
Says Trump. All purchases of Iranian oil must stop now.
Huh.
It's in the
Okay.
juice, Jay. Just literally,
Okay.
just like 2 seconds ago, came up.
Got you. Big pop in crude there. Let's see if any other markets are kind of responding to that. I don't see. Sometimes we'll see, a pop in the equities, a pop in gold when crude is moving as well. But that looks like an oil-specific headline, and we're seeing it in crude oil there. And again, a market that's
Nat gas,
closing in
too.
8 minutes,
Look
settling
at
in
nat
8 minutes,
gas, Jay.
but
Nat
big
gas
pop
popped
in
on it,
natural
too.
gas as well. That's about a 4% pop in natural gas in about 15 minutes. So there are markets moving out here. I know a lot of the focus on the show is on the equities. Most of our traders are trading them, but there is a ton of opportunity in different markets. Crude tilt right now 71% long from 58.49. Other tilt.
This is why, Alfie,
everything
you
else.
got the total right mindset. See money, take money, and any market you're in right now, guys. This morning it felt like we were out of the woods. It was up and to the right, and here we are again. It's an environment. I think, Jay, and you and I have been talking about it. We're going to be in this for a while. We're not going to just all of a sudden, this is just quite clear and we're all good.
Nope.
It's pumping again.
There's a trade war, crude continuing to kind of hold that rally here. But when there's a trade war going on, it's not just going to be settled where, hey, okay, everything's clear. We'll see it from
All
there.
is well.
Alfie, do you look at other markets outside of Nasdaq and gold, or do they have you busy enough that you don't need to look outside of those?
No, definitely. I'm always looking. I think Bitcoin's one I've looked at, and I've tried to trade intraday. But I think you guys mentioned it before. It's a bit of a sucker, right?
Not
It doesn't
easy.
move and then it moves. It has a huge move.
No.
But yeah, I think it's definitely something interesting to look at, and it almost feels like nature's healing if you look at from afar. Like Bitcoin's nearly 100K and the Nasdaq's at 20K, but then it's so hard to understand whether these buyers are like late to the party now, or if this is
Right.
like the change of state, because we've just wedged right up to this point. And I think in one of Jim Dalton's videos at the start of this week, he was saying he's basically looked like, where are the institutions? There's a big gap that's been filled. Are we out of the woods? We've got an FP tomorrow. So yeah, I've just been mainly on the equities, but obviously looking at higher risk stuff as well, like Bitcoin.
And Bitcoin post-election has just been a squeeze. I mean, the range is just getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. So day trading it, Jay, it used to be a decent day trade. Now it's just, you just don't get the moves you did, 3 months ago.
Right. Right. Crude made a new high, 59.50 on that spike there. Is holding for now. Again, headline moves. A lot of times I look at these headline moves and the volume that comes into them. And then, Alfie, as you're looking at volume a lot as well. Sometimes we see this end up as an exhaustion move, right? Where whatever volume needs to trades out for the day. And then we see a reversal. So I'm looking at this high in crude as a potential area to maybe, fade the extreme of this range and trade back into this zone. Because again, this is a reaction to a headline, but we really want to see how the market responds to it, right? Headline can kind of change things around from there, change the opinion of the market, and buyers, hear a headline like that and say, you know what, we need to continue to buy this. Any trades that you're looking to potentially take right now, Alfie? I know you're up on the day, probably want to secure some of those profits, not give back too much to the market. Anything that you would be looking at to take a trade right now?
If I had a gun to my head, I would probably say gold, just because I'm seeing equities break down a little bit. But again, that correlation between the two, obviously, it has been negative for a week or so, but I'm not sure if the memo is out and everyone's, thinking the same thing, because they do often move together, especially when you get these limits down. And gold's really struggled today, especially since, my afternoon, it just failed to break at a level on spot at 32.30, and I think it tapped it about 6 times. So if I see, in this next kind of 20, 30 minutes, any decent spikes up for an entry, I would definitely entertain a gold short potentially. But then again, we're all the way up from, that was a big move on equity, sorry, 100 and minus 130 in that last 10-second candle. So I do wonder, actually, we might get a bit of gold here.
Alpha, we got a comment from Futch in the chat saying, those charts, I don't understand what I'm looking at all. Explain a little bit about what you explain to us a little bit about what we got going on here, Alfie. I can look at it and tell
Little
for the
book
most part. But
mappy.
what's on this charts? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, it's very busy. It's very, very busy. On we looked at the bottom bit here, this footprint statistics is mainly what I'm paying attention to. You can see the volume for every 10-second candle here. So you can see about 100, 200 contracts, of which plus 47 was to the long side. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily have to mean market buys, if I'm not mistaken. But it just means that the delta's balanced in that way. Perhaps it was another kind of time frame seller. And then really from there, I'm just looking at that and seeing if there's any divergence. Like this one's probably a little bit clearer. And in fact, if I do this, you might be able to see it. But you can see on this delta D-bar sessions, I get little alerts when there's a positive or negative divergence. And I sometimes will just
Okay.
wait and see if one of these pops up and see, okay, right now it's saying on the Nasdaq, we've got a bit of a positive divergence to my knowledge. So it could be a potential
Okay.
for a long here. But with the 10-second one,
When
yes, I
you
mean, it's
say a positive divergence, you're looking at delta and price action. Is that correct?
exactly, yeah. So price is coming down, the contracts or the rate of contracts is still staying relatively the same or increasing. And yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
working on really. So on like a really small scalp frame, so if I was doing like literally just this, since this negative 130, I may have been tempted to get in short there, right? But I would have got blown right out because straight away the buyer stepped back in, or there wasn't enough strength in those sells to push price down, which, you know, as you guys often say to me when I'm listening, what doesn't happen is often as important as what does, right? So it's just a added layer of context, and it can be a little bit leery to look at this all day for sure, but can be very useful, especially in these like high volatile times like MOC, for example.
How'd you
Yeah.
gravitate to that one? Can I ask? How'd you end up coming
Great
across
question.
that one? Okay.
What, the 10-second chart or the
Just
in
what you're
general?
looking
The
at.
strategy
I
in
think
general.
we're all product. Yeah.
Yeah, great question. I think really what initially kind of led me down this road, a friend of mine who's watching, Theo, so shout out Theo, he gave me Mind Over Markets to read. And then I was looking for platforms that had the volume profile. And then I was looking how you could kind of, this is
Order
before Markets
filled.
and Momentum came out. I was looking how you could kind of modernize, I suppose, that approach. Came across exo charts, started to get an idea of the DOM. And what I really like about exo charts, I'm not paid by them, by the way, is you can slice a volume profile on top of the ladder. So right now I can say, you know, for the last 4 hours, show me the volume profile, and I can see we're out of value. So as long as we keep accepting out of value here on smaller time
Order
frames, then my
filled.
bias is going to be long. But if we start getting acceptance below this 20,000, I might start looking further down the chain, right, and start to look at some of these orders. And that's what I really like, because you can even slice it down to like, you know, 30 minutes. If you've had a huge move in the last 30 minutes that's consolidated and you want to see, you know, is this still going to be up? I mean, this is kind of useless because we've been in this crappy range, but you can still get an idea of, you know, how what's happening.
Okay. How long have you been trading, Alfie? I don't know. I've seen you on TopStepX before. I don't know if I remember the answer to that.
Yeah, so I mean, probably I'd say a year and a half where I'm actually kind of doing it day in, day out. But I dabbled in like swing trades. I had swing positions in like stocks, in crypto. You know, done the kind of close your eyes and buy thing for a couple of years. So I was exposed as like an investor, but then I quickly realized that every investor's a trader when it goes against you, right? So that's why I kind of started to gravitate back towards this. And I went for a few like,
Okay.
you know, blown eToro accounts where you're chucking like $500 in there and hitting and hoping, and then I found out about props. So yeah, since then it's been mainly doing this.
Nice. I did just put on a short here in crude oil. Like I said, seeing whether or not that volume was going to sustain on that spike. We are kind of holding around 50% of it, but I'm short one crude oil, 59.20. Stop is actually going to be a little bit higher, 59.60, risking about 40 ticks on this trade. And I'm looking for about a 1.5 to 1 just to trade back down to the lower extreme of this volume spike here.
You
And
see
then
all
I'll
that
get back to
volume
driving.
that plowed those, Jay?
Say it again. Who?
Take a look at that 59.20 to 59.25. If you look at that kind of like what Alfie looks at that
Oh, yeah.
volume profile. I mean, there was
Yep.
a ton of orders that plowed in. And that was
Yep.
the other thing, the timing of that to come out, 7 minutes before the quote, NYMEX
Close.
close doesn't give the market much chance to, Jay, doesn't give
Respond
it
to it.
much chance to soak to it. So yeah, but there's a lot of
Right.
volume that plowed in right there, man. Wow.
Yes, there is. Right on that close, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So tilt in crude oil still long 77%, long from 58.79 currently. Tilt kind of pairing off a little bit, back down to 67%. But tilt is in the money right now. I don't know if they got in before that spike or right after it.
I'm gonna guess.
Tilt, if you guys have a source where you're getting this information before we get this pop,
Share it.
send me an email. Send me an email. Alfie, I heard you kind of commenting on what you heard on TopStep TV. Do you watch often when you're not trading?
I do, yeah. I mean, even when I'm trading, really, it's good to kind of get another perspective. I think there's a bit of a fine line though sometimes where,
Yeah.
you're doubting yourself because you got number 5 on the big board on the other side of your trade, and you're like, well, I
He's on the
don't
other
fancy
side.
my odds, but then
You say it's
yeah, you
intimidating?
don't
Come on.
fancy your odds as quick. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always watching. It's definitely good to have kind of virtual colleagues, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I get what you're saying too, right? Half the time I'm on TopStep TV, I'm on with Dakota, and I'm going to be on with him for Power Hour. And I think the same way. It's just like, yeah, he's number 5 on the leaderboard. He makes a ton of money, but at the same time, he says it himself. He's wrong 70% of the time in his trading.
Crazy.
It's just when he's wrong, it's not going to cost him a whole lot. But that's a real thing, like you said. There's a balance between listening and watching the show to kind of learn and just have that camaraderie when trading. But at the end of the day, we need to be, confident enough in our own strategies to say, hey, you know what? I don't care what Dakota does. I don't care what, whoever does. I'm going to take the trade that makes sense to me. And with your charts, Alfie, the ones that you just showed to us, I know for a fact that those make sense to you. If I was to look at them, I couldn't trade off of them. And then that's really all that matters. Who is your favorite TopStep TV personality? You don't have to say me because you're on air with me. It's okay.
It's a close one, right? I'd say probably Jack, just because he always
Yeah.
comes with a perspective on the bonds, which I think
Okay.
is very understated and is very important, right, to keep an eye on the yields. But yeah, like
100%.
in general, it's a hard to pick, but it's always good to get that other market
And he's
exposure. 'cause
saucy.
ultimately, that's what's pulling the strings.
Jack's always saucy too, so you gotta like him. He's a little, yeah.
He's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Jack's a great guy. Alfie, you are from South Africa, is that
London, yeah.
right?
No, I'm from London,
Okay.
England.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got you. I read a different bio. So you're from London. Do you trade London hours, or are you focused normally on this time of the day?
Mainly, I'd say it depends really. I can sometimes trade London hours if the setup presents. It's just it depends if I'm scalping or if I'm trying to swing trade, which I know is a bit of a misnomer because that means
It's
for me
different.
more than 10 minutes. But it really just depends. I think obviously the 230 tends to line up quite well with the market open and the volatility, especially when I'm doing this volume stuff because in Asia it's so dry, as I'm sure you guys know, right? You're getting like 3 or 4 lots. I mean, not in the last few
Order
days,
filled.
but the last 3-4 months you're getting like 3 or 4 lots
Order
for
filled.
an hour, and then I'm tired. I want to go to bed, so I try and do US hours, but yeah, I'm often doing London hours too. But with the Nasdaq,
Okay.
you can either get a really good Pico bottom or top entry, or you just get chopped up in London, it seems.
Alfie,
Another
question. You
question
said
from
mind over markets.
Order filled.
Yes.
And once again, everybody's tired of hearing me talk about it. But I spent the last 10 days taking a primer class with Jim Dalton. What's your? And it's kind of interesting to see you trade very mechanically, and I know you use a lot of different tools there from a guy who, like Dalton, who's been trading for 50 years, who just kind of is very intuitive. So have you ever watched any of his videos and stuff like that too, along with reading the books?
Yeah, absolutely. Jim's a wizard, right? And I know
Oh yeah.
I pretty much have hit all of the faux pas that he said to avoid in his book a lot of the time, where you're fading the trend or you're not letting
That's
your
great,
winners run.
Yeah.
It feels like he speaks to me a lot of the time when he's having these calls, because he was in the pits and he was scalping for years
Yeah.
and he wasn't profitable, right? And then it all switched. I think the thing with Jim that really struck me as well is his whole he uses the whole like lagged buyer, innovative sellers or
Mhm.
initiative sellers, and initiative buyers, and you can really notice that on like every single time frame. Obviously within different ranges, but yeah, it's something that I definitely want to get a lot better at, and I need to be able to give myself the time to let the trade play out sometimes, because
We
I
all
think
do.
from Traders Reality says it as well, right? Like if I gave you a king and an ace, you'd lose sometimes, right? In a game of poker, but that's just variance. It's not a bad setup. It's just variance. So
Yeah.
it's just I'm really trying to condition myself into accepting that sometimes, even with a 96% probability that you may or may not be able to historically show 4% of the time, it doesn't go in your favor and it blows your account up. Maybe don't let it blow your account up, right? But just live to trade another day, as you guys say.
Being aware of it and sharing it is half the battle, man. Ignoring it
Yeah.
can get you in trouble, right?
100%. I've actually been reading something slightly unrelated but kind of related. Carl Jung's Collective Archetypes of the Unconscious, and in parts of it, he talks about being possessed by the spirit. And I think a lot of that's about being intuitive and putting a lot of value on instinct. And with this scalping stuff, where you're like literally looking at minus 20, minus 30, minus 40 contracts in 10 seconds, you can feel like you've got a read on the whole market, and that it's almost you feel a bit arrogant, like yeah, price has gone up because 17 orders just came in. But at the same time, actually that can lead to your downfall, because that arrogance can lead to the trickster archetype coming in. All of a sudden, I'm 10 lots long on a combine, and it goes against you, and all of a sudden, back to square one. Do not pass go. Pay us $150.
How many trades do you say you take, Alfie? I know you're looking at a very short time frame. How many trades do you usually take in a day?
I can give you the answer. I mean, Deanna and you guys might not like it, but today it wasn't too bad on one of my XFAs. I was at 30 trades today on an XFA.
Okay.
And on the other one, I was barely scratched, and I was 37. I'm up 800 on one and 277 on the other, and I was 37.
Okay.
But yesterday I was up on that $1,600. That was 88 trades. So obviously in out, so
All
44 individual scalps.
Micros, minis? Are you
All
trading minis or
micros.
micros?
So
All micros.
yeah,
Okay.
all micros.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're scaling in,
That
scaling
makes a lot of
out.
sense.
Exactly. I quite like
Short
3
something.
micros. I find, especially on a XFA, 3 micros I think is a good amount of size. Well, I'm glad I didn't short gold. Blimey.
Yeah.
It's up 10
You're rallying
points.
here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is slow out. Look at that.
Root's pulling back too, Jay.
It is. It is.
You looking for a target the other way, or?
I got it down at 58.62 right now. 58.62. Alfie, we got some questions in the chat for you. Run from Robin here. Arsenal or Chelsea?
West Ham. So neither.
Neither.
Yeah,
Neither.
I'm a hammer.
All right, there we go. And I got one from who is this? Dave had a question as well. Dave, I'm going to try to make sense of your question here. Give me 1 second here. Dave asks, if the price is up and the market is down, but the volume is still low, would you short the long and buy a condo in Egypt, or long the short and move to Kansas? I have no idea what that question means, but Dave asked me to ask it for you. I don't know if it's an inside joke or something like that, but
Not a Scooby-Doo, but probably Kansas over Egypt, if I had to pick.
there we go. Yep. You could say next question. That's what I learned from watching the basketball players do post press conferences. They get asked a question and just like,
Next question.
Next question. All right, back to these markets.
Order filled.
S&P tilt 60% long, trading 56.63. Nasdaq 56% long in the tilt, trading 20,025. I think this 20,000 area is going to be a major magnet, especially going into the close. We do have some earnings after the close. Apple reporting earnings. So I don't know how directional we really get before that. And of course, NFP tomorrow. Crude tilt definitely paired off. 55% long right now. My short is looking
Order
pretty
filled.
good. But I also understand that crude is closed now. So
Which actually
this might be
good.
Order filled.
Right. Are there any buyers that are going to step in here? Of course, a headline can make anything happen.
Order filled.
I
Order
don't
filled.
hate Actually, you know what? I might just take this off here. If there was still volume that was going to trade that I knew for a fact was going to trade in this market, right? And let's say we were still open if this was 2 hours ago, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable leaving this trade on, but we're trading right at 50% of where that volume spike happened. I'm gonna just take it off.
The old,
Take $100
the
there.
old crude.
Take $100 there.
Even 80s half.
Yep.
There's a lot of gravitation in that market because of options. Even 80s and half for all you crude traders. And yes, I'm still not trading it.
Jump in.
We're still in divorce negotiations.
Alfie, has there ever been a market that you've traded? You thought, hey, this is going to be what I stick with. I know this market really well, and you had to give it up.
I wouldn't say give it up as such, but I used to trade a lot of gold, and then I thought because I could do relatively okay with gold, silver would go just fine. It didn't really work out just like that, unfortunately. I was kind of trying to apply the logic of like smart money concepts from ES and NQ to gold and silver, and there was an element of it, but I was just getting taken out by the spreads a lot of the time, and even not
Gotcha.
letting it run enough. So I just thought, why not go back to just the main thing,
What you
right?
know.
So that's why I kind of
You trade the
yeah,
spot,
with
did
gold.
you say, Alfie?
Yeah, so I do trade it on futures, but I also have another account where I will look at spot prices, and yeah,
Okay.
Order filled.
it's a CFD in the UK. They call it like contract difference.
Got you. Yeah, it's metals is a big deal. So when I used to be in I was in a pit that they had back in Chicago. It was called the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index, and it was inflationary. So it had all the London metals, like what is it, I'd have to ask you, the aluminum, copper, tin, and all those LME metals were a big deal. And every day when those prices would come in, it would affect the index. But I'm like, who's trading tin? And after I did a little history on the LME, it used to be a pretty big deal, the London Metals Exchange.
Yeah, big business over here for sure.
Yeah.
Coach Hoop, any other trades you're looking at for the end of the day, or pretty much wrapping it up going into power hour?
I miss gold. I think I said it earlier. I was looking for a long there in gold, but once
Order
again,
filled.
I'm staying away till tomorrow.
Gotcha.
I just, I'm pretty much told myself I'm on for opening call tomorrow. So I get to see the EKG when non-farm comes out tomorrow.
Right.
So a quick one on
Alfie.
gold, guys. I'm curious.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was just wondering
go
really.
ahead.
Sometimes I look at the profile for gold, and right now I'm seeing, if I can pull it up. I don't know if you guys still see this. It should be a trading view. I'm seeing quite a few single prints, and I wonder, Hoop, if you're big on the volume profile. If I just
Order
change from 30
filled.
seconds to 30 minutes. When you see, this was my initial thought for gold, and it's I kind of missed it, right? So we had a few single prints up here from Monday. We went through, we continued to auction down, and then we one time frame down today, and we left a single print on spot about 40 points above here.
Yep.
Now that we've filled these single prints, like the caveman trade
Rotation.
idea in my head is to trade back into this one, right? Up here at 32.68. But then I'm looking down below at 31.39, and I'm wondering how do you guys gauge the momentum here? Even though we're closer to the one just above, is there an argument to be made for continuation back down to this one here? What would you need to see to justify either?
Coach Hoop, you want to take that, or you want me to go?
You go on that one. I'll share after you go.
Sounds good. So the first one that you mentioned, Alfie, if we're looking at my charts here, I would look at, I don't personally use volume profile or market profile much, but I am looking at this 30-minute candle here, which was the Asia session open from last night, right? The range of that candle, 32.50 up to 32.85, right? And right in the middle of that is where you have those single prints. So I'm looking at this as a sell side imbalance that, if the market starts to trend back up to it, I'm looking for us to trade right to 50% of it, right? Just to kind of fill that equilibrium where you have those single prints filled. In order to continue lower, I'd have to zoom out to the daily and then look at it the same way, right? So basically what I'm looking at is a candle that, we had a ton of volume in that, traded over a bunch of prices really quickly and we haven't revisited that yet. And I don't necessarily see that until this daily candle here, which was April 10th. The high of that candle, 31.95, and then 50% of that, 31.42. At this point, I think that's the range for gold, basically 3200s up to 3268. Hopefully that answered your question.
So if you go to my
That's how I'd be
screen one
looking at that
sec,
there.
Jay, yeah, I'll show you
Yep.
this. So in tandem with TopStepX, I use in my other combine, I use range charts. So
Okay.
one thing for me is I'm just always looking at, especially how V-shaped gold gets when it reverses. I mean, of any market, I can honestly say that I've traded that turns at a dime and then just starts to rally. I just like to, once I feel like it's turned and all of a sudden I'm looking at higher lows and we start to move. I know I just made Robert happy. I started talking about range charts. And that's like a 4-range chart, but it just feels like to me, it keeps me on the right side. And then I'm looking at whatever those swings are, is that I'm riding that until we start to take out that swing. So, like when we pivoted there and we started making, basically higher lows and we start to go, I'm just using those swings to ride it all the way up. And then when it changes, I'm out. But when gold runs, and I put copper next to it, and I think copper might have started pushing it too. But, when it runs, you just need to get on that bandwagon, and because when she goes, she goes.
Awesome
Stuff.
Yeah, and are you looking at a DXY while you're like placing your gold trades as well, or are you mainly looking at these ranges and just specifically staying to the gold chart view?
I don't use the Dixie. I don't. Jay?
I don't either. Nope.
Yeah.
I don't look at it. I know some traders
The
that do.
equities in them are
look-
so tied right now. I think the equities is probably as good a barometer, because I think there's a lot of, this is just a fundamental thing that I think that's hanging around. There is a ton of money that has rolled into gold that is not normal. And that means I think you have a lot of retail piled in there, and a lot of ETFs, and it's been the dynamic trade for 2 years. So, I think the gold leads more than the dollar right now. When it does what it does, everybody else seems to just jump on,
Yeah, especially with all this macro news out as well. I suppose everyone's just
Mhm.
using it as the hedge because, yeah,
Yep.
makes perfect sense. Thanks.
And that's where bonds, like you said, bonds are kind of because we have sticky inflation right now, the bonds, used to, I spent 10 years on the floor. So when equities would take a dump and start to go down, everybody would typically run for bonds, and that's was a long play for a long time. But we're just in a different environment now where the bonds just don't seem to hold up. And I think it seems like inflation is still a concern. So
If I put my
Good
tinfoil
conversa-
hat on as well, there's that whole. Sorry, I was just gonna say there's that whole idea that China are selling long-term
Mhm.
US bonds, right, as a
Mhm.
retaliatory effect,
Yep.
and I
Mhm.
suppose there's that whole dynamic that plays into it as well now, where it's not as
100%. I
safe as a
agree.
haven.
Mhm.
Great conversation here. Alfie, I got a question for you, completely unrelated
Sure.
to trading at all.
No worries.
Are you a Tyson Fury fan?
I am indeed, yeah. Yeah.
All right, Gabe,
You can't not like the guy, man.
hit him with a
He
jab.
was quality.
Yeah, he's a great fighter. I think who was it? What was the last? Oh, Fury and Wilder. That was a fight that
Yeah, that
kind
was
of ended
blockbuster.
Wilder's career there. Yeah,
I always thought
yeah,
Wilder was
major
a bit
fight there.
too light for a heavyweight, but he could always. I mean, he knocked out like 28 people in a row, so obviously not, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. He could hit, but he could not really take a hit. And I think that fight definitely showed it. But Gabe, we got some traders who are fighting these markets, throwing a couple of jabs. That was my segue into
Look, a
jab,
nice
jab, jab.
tee up
What
there,
do we got?
Jay.
What do we got, Gabe? I tried, man. I tried.
Hey, you did well. You did well, man. All right, so we got some jabs. Obviously, Eddie is out this afternoon, so I'm kind of subbing in. But we've got Troy up 1,200 for the day, thanks to the opening range gold trade, locking myself out. Way to use that lockout feature there, Troy. We got Diego just past 3 combines, but the new dashboard still showing incorrect amounts. There is obviously some bugs with the new dashboard as it is brand new. So expect some continued updates and focus on developing that further and getting smoother. But ultimately, congratulations, Diego, on passing those 3 combines, man. We're really grateful to hear about that. Beth, we got made 3K today on a rally, locking it out up 400, it looks like. So shout out to Beth. We got Michael, $7,500 day today, 15K day yesterday. Holy crap. Time to lock it out. We got great filibuster. Tough day. It was down 397, and now I'm up 27 bucks, and I'm ecstatic. Well, I'm ecstatic for you, great filibuster, because that is a nice climb out of drawdown. Hopefully, you walked away in the green, didn't go back for more. We got 90 bid even locked out at a max profit in the VIP. One more day to make about $1,000 to qualify. 90 bid even. We wish you the best of trading. I don't want to say luck tomorrow, but obviously closing out the week with NFP tomorrow. So be cautious, be careful, manage your risk effectively, and hopefully you do make it across the finish line. We got Mystic Rick finally passed my VIP combine this morning. Let's go. VIP Titans are killing it. Shout out to Coach Robert and Titans. And then finally, we got DB. I need 16 bucks to become payout eligible. No pressure, not picking a bad spot to pull off that last little bitty win. Hopefully you can get yourself across that finish line to a payout there, DB. But like you said, man, I got a good mindset to finish out, getting to that payout. That's what I got for you guys for jabs, and we'll see you back for Power Hour. Back to you, Jay.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabe. All right, so we are getting ready to wrap up this segment. Alfie, once we get off of here, are you going to look at the charts? You profitable on the day? Do you lock it up here, fight another, fight tomorrow? What are we looking at right now?
I think if you asked me on Monday, I would have definitely stayed and fought another hour. But given what I kind of done to myself yesterday, it's definitely going to be lockout, especially with this news coming out with Amazon and Apple, because we saw that rally last night. It was insane. I don't want to be caught either side in a position.
For sure.
Love it.
Well, good stuff. Great trading today. Nice recovery on the accounts in general. And keep going. Hopefully we see you back on TopStep TV soon. Coach Hoop, thank you for hanging out as well. Any words before we go, Coach Hoop?
No, just size down, widen the stops, and get ready for the next 24 hours. It's ought to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting for sure. Get ready for the next hour. I will be back with my guy, Coach DBA, Coach Dakota, for Power Hour. I think we might have a guest who's been running the ship joining us as well, hopefully. But we'll see you all in just a few moments for Power Hour to wrap up the day. This has been TopStep TV. Let's go.